Hi, this is Robert Lee, and this is my pastor, Andrew Gackle. And today we want to introduce something about there is a new organization in Taiwan. The name is Formosa Republican Association. And the internet or newspaper said that Robert Lee is the founder of this organization, but actually the real founder is the God. And I want to tell you some story about Pastor Andrew and what we saw in the last past year. Pastor Andrew, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, I remember in 2016 in June when I come to your office. Our church is Evangelical Formosa Church in Houston, and I know Pastor Andrew for more than 30 years. And then I remember in that day I came to your office and I want to invite you to lunch, and you said no, I'm in Fastener. You said every year in June you are Fastener for maybe 20 to 40 days. Can you tell me why you fasten in June? Why?
This really started in 2005, so it's been about 14 years now. 2004, 15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
I've done different kinds of fasting since 1984, but I didn't start doing longer fasting until 1994, 10 years later. But I didn't start this annual June fast until 2004. That year I was living in Michigan, and I was inspired to do this June fast that year because of a friend of mine that was doing a hunger fast in San Francisco that year for different reasons. But during my fast that year, I was reading a book on D-Day. D-Day, the Normandy invasion during World War II that was on June 6, 1944.
June 6. Okay.
And in doing some more research, I became aware that in world history, there have been a number of significant historical things that have happened on June 6. Things that changed the history of the world, actually. D-Day being one of them. And so it occurred to me that for some reason, June 6th is a day of high spiritual activity, things going on in the spiritual realm. And so I really felt impressed by the Lord that year that I was to do an annual fast, either beginning on or just before June 6th, that would last at least 21 days, as you said, and maybe go a little bit longer. But my feeling was that these fasts were intended to be something that the Lord would use to change some things in the spiritual realm for nations, for churches or people or whatever. So I've been doing this for about 15 years, and the date, June 6th, is significant, I felt, because of world history issues, and so that's why I do it.
Okay, thank you. And I remember in that month, I came to your office, and you and I discussed about the election in USA.
Right.
In the president election.
Yes.
You asked me who you want to vote.
Right.
And I told you I don't decide, I have not any decision yet. And you told me about God is going to use Trump.
Yes.
To change the America.
Correct.
And to change the war even.
Yes.
And you told me you told me about the Old Testament.
Yes.
God used Samson.
Samson, yes.
Samson. Can you tell me a little bit about the message?
Sure, I can. Actually, the thing about Samson, kind of the message occurred later in the year in October, but you're correct about the Old Testament, because I'll tie it into what I was feeling in June that year when I talked to you. In prayer one particular day, I again just felt this strong impression I felt from the Lord that, and the Lord was tying it into the story in Daniel, the book of Daniel, about Belshazzar or Belshazzar, one of the Babylonian kings, I think the grandson of Nebuchadnezzar. And you remember the story that Belshazzar, during one night when he was having a big drinking party in the palace, he took the vessels or cups that had been taken from the Jerusalem temple by Nebuchadnezzar, his grandfather, and those had been taken to Babylon and were kept there. And so these were holy vessels that had been used in the temple for spiritual purposes, and Belshazzar was using these for a drinking party, and in effect defiling them, just like making them unclean by what he was doing. And this interesting impression came to me that in the same way that Belshazzar defiled something holy, that previous American government administrations had been defiling this country by doing different policies and other things that seem to be very contrary to the nature of America's beginning, the founding fathers, like taking prayer out of schools, approving abortion on demand, in recent years, legalizing same-sex marriage, various things that never would have been thought possible by previous American governments and presidents, were now being done. And so my feeling was this country had been taken down a wrong path, and government people, both presidents and Congress people, had been doing something to this country that was not God's intention. I believe God's intention was for this country to be a tool in his hand. As one of our founding fathers said, a city set upon a hill, a country that was to be a shining light to the world and would be a place where people could come to worship God in freedom and so forth, and that this had been, the country had been defiled. And what I was feeling was that Donald Trump, of all people, that the Lord wanted to raise him up to turn this around and to somehow restore America to some of its founding principles or beliefs or whatever. And this was still in the year 2016, I believe, when there still was the primary season going on. I believe it was. So it hadn't been fully decided yet that Trump would be the nominee for the Republican Party. Nevertheless, I felt that he would be the person that would be selected to represent the Republican Party, and also that God would put him in as president at that point. So that was in June of 2016.
And after that, I keep these things in mind.
Yes.
And I found that before the election, about maybe 3-4 weeks before the election, I found everything is a dramatic change.
Yes.
Change. The poll of the Donald Trump is is going up very fast.
Right.
And then I found the result is he became the president. So I found that God's hand is there.
I wanted to also add to, because you asked me earlier about Samson, I just wanted to say very briefly that part of the revelation to me came in October of that year. And interestingly, it came at the point, I believe, before the second or third debate, possibly the second debate, but it was at a time when this Access Hollywood a videotape had come out about Donald Trump that was just devastating. It showed him making very crude comments about women and so forth and so on. And it looked at that point like he was done. I mean, there was no hope for him. And it was right at that point that I felt this strong revelation came, and I really believe this is from the Lord because it's so accurate to describe Trump's situation. I felt that the Lord was comparing him to Samson, in the Old Testament. And Samson, as we know, was anointed by God to do specific purposes for God, but he was a very carnal man in the flesh. His weakness was women, which seems to have been Donald Trump's problem also. And yet, God chose to use this man to accomplish his own purposes. And so again, I was sensing that even though Donald Trump, had been a very carnal man in his life, that nevertheless, the Lord wanted to use this imperfect human vessel to do great things for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the election, and then after 3 months,
Yes.
there's in January 20, 2017.
Okay.
which is,
The inauguration?
inauguration.
Yeah, okay.
And I went to in that inauguration
To Washington, D.C.
To Washington, D.C.
Yes, yes.
And that's the first time I saw Donald Trump president, face by face. And then I saw many people from different states. He's a supporter. And
Yes.
I stand in the downstairs with all the people there, and I saw all the inauguration. It's the God is first.
Okay,
They raise
Okay.
the God first.
sure.
They sing the song from the church.
Christian songs,
Christian
yes.
song. And I feel, the God is there.
Amen, right.
And then the last, his dress. He
Yes,
speak,
yes.
He speak from now on, the Washington D.C. will be administered by the people from the United States, not by the politician. He said the politician can go home and you can no more do here.
You're not needed anymore,
The
yeah.
people. He don't like the elite of
Right,
the politician.
right.
He liked the people's idea. So it was very impressed in my heart.
Yes.
Okay. Then after that, I found that's 2017. But there's one thing happened. After I go back to Taiwan and other country, I make a lot of speech. And then after I come back to United States, which is 2017, August. You remember there's a big hurricane.
Oh,
Hurricane.
Hurricane Harvey, right?
Harvey, yeah.
Right.
But before that, I found my body as a lot of cancer cells.
Yes, yes.
And almost all the bone in my body is cancer. But I was very surprised because I never know one day I will be like that.
Yes.
But God told me I will be healed. And then he also told me the reason he wanted me to have this kind of trouble is because he wanted me to glory the God. So I started
Yes.
to cry.
Yes.
And after that, I went to the MD Anderson, and it happened a miracle because in 49 days, my cancer already gone. And then after that, I start to do a lot of testimony in all the church, on other
Yes,
country.
yes.
I go everywhere. And after that, I come back to USA, and the God also told me, he told me he wanted me to glory the God. It's not only to to do the testimony
Right,
about the healing.
right.
He wanted me to form an organization,
Yes,
which is Formosa Republican Association in Taiwan and in USA.
yes.
So I start to do this the speech in the church and in other organizations. So I start to talk about this. Then I found that God used many people to support
To support
my
this.
group.
Yes,
So finally, in in the 2018, December 10, this organization was
formed.
formed, but actually it's the God's will.
Right.
They formed in Taiwan, and I want to tell you very the God's work still is working in this.
Yes,
Because remember in the February of this year, you and I supposed to go to
CPAC.
CPAC,
Correct.
this CPAC. See, and but in 2 weeks before we go, I found that my wife got breast cancer,
Right,
so we cannot
Couldn't go.
Couldn't go. We have to
Right.
go to hospital.
that's right.
But still, we have 8 of my friends
That
also
went there.
Went there. and they went there and they took many many things
That's
from,
good.
from this.
Mhm.
But in that big event, they're supposed to contact the ACU, but because too many people, too crowd,
Of course.
so they don't have chance.
Sure.
But anyhow, we contacted Japan,
Oh, yeah,
contacted Japanese,
their group.
yeah, the
Yeah.
group,
Mhm.
and then our delegation, which is Jack, they went to Japan in February,
Mm.
and reached them and talk about the Formosa Republican Association,
Okay.
and they are very impressed.
Wow.
Okay, then they come to come to Taiwan to visit our group,
Mm.
which I was not in Taiwan because
Wow.
my wife still sick.
Sure.
Still sick.
Mhm.
But I talked to the delegation by phone, and they invite us to Japan about the JCU, about the Japan is going to have
A meeting?
a
of
meeting,
some kind?
a
Mhm.
conference over
Okay.
there. So we said okay.
Wow.
But I won't tell you about just a few days ago.
Yeah.
We went to DC and we contact the ACU.
Okay.
Okay, ACU has make arrangement to meet with us.
Mm.
We have 4 people went there, and before we start to talk, I told them we need to read one word of the Bible.
Mm.
The Bible said Psalm 127,
Verse 1.
verse 1.
Mm.
What they say?
Unless the Lord builds the house,
Unless the Lord build a house,
they labor in vain that build it.
the labor will be in vain.
Yeah.
Unless the Lord keep the city,
That's right. The watchmen
the
wait
watchmen
in vain.
wait in vain.
That's
So
right.
that means, so I told them whatever we talk today or whatever we are going to do in the future, we must according the will of God.
Absolutely.
If not,
Yes.
then we're doing in vain. Even in Taiwan or in USA or in Japan, everywhere, only the God's words
That's
can
right.
build the country.
That's right.
Yeah. So
That's right.
I'm very glad we can
It's
do
good.
today. We can do this kind of witness.
Absolutely.
I think God is using His people
Yes.
to build,
Yes.
build this conservative value
I agree.
in every country.
I agree.
USA,
Yes.
Taiwan, Japan, even in China.
Yes.
Okay, because Taiwan, I remember the people Daniel in Conservative
Mm-hmm.
Union.
Mm-hmm.
He showed us a picture about Israel, and there's the Hebrew.
Right.
There's a Hebrew right there,
Yes.
and I asked someone to translate
Mhm.
that Hebrew, and they told me about this CPAC.
Mm-hmm.
CPAC, this Israel, and this, what's the meaning of this? He said this meaning, individual is the king.
Is the king.
Is the
Okay.
king. And I found the introduction about the director. which
Right,
is Daniel,
right.
Daniel
Schneider.
Schneider. Daniel
Right.
Schneider.
Mm-hmm.
His introduction, he also say about this.
He talks about that. Right.
About the sovereignty is reside
In the individual. That's right.
Very important.
Very important.
Yeah. Then we have a lawyer to come with us. That's my schoolmate.
Mm.
He just called me this morning. He said he read the Constitution of the USA.
Mm. Constitution.
Constitution.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He said man is created by God.
Right.
He is not the other countries say man is born by. Man is born. You know, man is born by the people.
Right.
But the USA
Constitution.
He said man is created
Created by God.
by God.
Mhm.
Create. So that's very different.
With certain special rights.
Certain
Yeah.
special
Inalienable
rights.
rights.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
You know the American. If you read American history, why America is strong
Yes.
because of conservative.
Correct.
And the conservative is from the idea of Bible.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But many people forgot about this.
That's
Forgot.
right.
They
That's
start
right.
to do something is not according to the Bible. So this country became going down. So that's very important. I think we need to go back to the Bible.
Absolutely.
To glory to God. Then the God will be glory, your praise, your country. Yeah, you told me your hometown is from North Dakota, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. Is your hometown like a conservative town?
The state of North Dakota would be considered very conservative.
Very conservative.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
State of Texas also conservative.
Right now, it would
Right now-
maybe the most conservative in the country.
Oh, okay.
There's no statewide office that's being held by a Democrat in the state of Texas
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
God bless.
God bless you.